Host, and today we're going back to some Elden Ring content. We're talking about the Regal Ancestor Spirit. You might be wondering, Ghostly French Toast, what? Why are you talking about this? Because we gotta know the deal of it, you know? It is what it is, though. So, enough dawdling around, if you will. Let's dive on in. Basics, alright? Optional fight in the game, you find it in the underground cities, which is a very interesting basically a big thing, because the thing with the underground cities, they're always opposing the Erd Tree. I will talk about that later on in the video. Technically, two fights in the game. So you got the regular Ancestor Spirit, which I think is personally a better hype up to the regular Ancestor Spirit. So, because you most likely will fight the regular Ancestor Spirit first, and I think that the Breath Away was like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. But I think the Regal Ancestor Spirit, it's still impressive. It's still a beautiful boss, but it shouldn't have been a second one. I think the Regal Ancestor Spirit should have been the first one. Against the Erd Tree. So we know how basically the Erd Tree wants to keep everything the same it is, keep the Golden Order, all that. But with that, the whole deal with the Ancestor Regal Spirit, as we're going to talk about, is how it constantly wants to change, grow, keep on growing and blossoming. So, pretty chill dude. Nature. We like nature. Besides like attacking you and trying to kill you, he's pretty chill. We can't talk about the Ancestral Spirit without talking about the Ancestral Followers. They're basically this tribal nation that live in the underground city, or near the underground cities, I would say. They don't live in them. They worship all spirits, so that doesn't mean just the Ancestor Regal Spirit. And we see in the Regal Ancestor Spirit boss fight, there are different spirits for those animals. So I feel like they've basically connected to nature itself. And a lot of people say they're horn scent. I don't believe they're horn scent, even though they have horns. It seems more the horns are decorative than actual horns, if that makes any sense, like sprouting out of them. And I know there's the Budding Blossom talks about how horns, they may be a subset of the horn set, but I don't think they are the horn set, if that makes any sense. No metalworking. They're all magic and wood and horn. They're very horny, if you will. They rely on nature and all that. Believe life sprouts from death, vice versa, and death sprouts from life. Wow, that was silly. But, and as I was saying with the whole Regal Ancestor Spirit, we're going to talk about soon with the Budding Blossom, the Budding Sprout, where even in death, the horn keeps on growing and growing and becoming bigger, becoming antlers, and so on and so forth. It just keeps enlarging. Something interesting to take note of is the part of the Crucible. So, the Regal, something I feel like a lot of people, there's the connection between the Crucible and the Regal Ancestor Spirit, but a lot of people don't make the connection between how it can also, the Regal Ancestor Spirit can transform to different animals. What I mean by that. So in the boss fight, when he starts teleporting around, he can teleport into a certain animal on the ground, and whatever animal that is, he gets the powers. And the whole thing with the Crucible is you use these animals' powers similar to how the Regal Ancestor Spirit does. It uses, whether that be a bunny, what's it called? A bunny, a boar, all that. It will transform into these animals. The Regal Spirit is just close to life itself. So as the boss fight progresses, we see how more animals, even though they're dead, keeps bringing back these spirits. And I feel like in terms of the spiritual, the Ancestor Spirit, it's bringing back life. And I feel like in Elden Ring, death is not the end. I feel like it's just a stage of life, and then you go on to the next one. I feel like the ancestral followers also believe that. Budding horns, sprouts on people with no horns. So talking about the ancestral followers earlier, we talked about how even like some of them have like symbolic horns. They still have the possibility of growing horns. So that is very similar to how the Crucible affects the horn scent and just the omens for a while. And they do have like an omen kind of appearance. Not to be like racist or anything. I just felt like I should preface that. They have like an omen-like appearance where you have the Lendel omens and you have the horn scent omens. So the Crucible just kind of blesses everything in every way. And I feel like a lot of parts that oppose the Erd Tree, like a lot of factions, use parts of the Crucible. Like Bale uses the Crucible. The Crucible itself, the horn scent, they all worship some part of the Crucible, whether that be they both think it's the Crucible or they think it's some other thing, but it's part of the Crucible in the end. budding sprout. Comes with people comes with people with no horns. So the budding sprout will, as stated before, it will start like growing like how the crucible or the budding sprout will start affecting people with no horns, and it'll just grow little horns and just sprout out, similar to how like an omen is. Even in death, the horn keeps growing. So when I talk about how important the ancestor spirit is, it just keeps on blossoming into new life, even in death. Turns in. So let's say me, ghostly French toast, right? I grow some horns, you know, and after a while, I'm still alive, right? I turn into an ancestor spirit. You know how crazy that'd go? You know how much aura I would have? Turning into a fucking deer? It'd be fucking cool. Cool as fuck. The boss by itself. The ancestor spirit is technically dead. It's look at it. It's decaying flesh. Yet it's still connected to life because it still brings things full circle. When interacted, it comes to life after teleporting away. So what I mean by that is when you're interacting with like the intro of the boss itself, you're not teleported into like the air, like an area. You're kind of teleported like in the mind, similar to the round table hold, part of a dreamlike area. It exists, yet it doesn't. It's not on the map. Similar to the round table hold, you'll get teleported, and on your map, you're on a whole different area. So what I mean by that, similar to the round table hold, I think it's a dream. I think the entire boss fight is a dream, because the whole thing with the ancestor spirit, it's life continuing after death, vice versa. So I feel like this is just pushing on to the existence of life, and the Regal ancestor spirit has like kind of just moved on. So that's why it's technically dead, and it has all these spirits around it. It's evolved into a higher state of being. So when you interact with the fight, that's why it's not really anywhere on your map. You're basically teleported far away. Because I think it's kind of like a dream state where it's dreamy, real, yet not real. But I don't think it's connected to the land itself. I think it's this whole separate pocket dimension. Similar to the round table, because the round table's like that. It's like a little pocket dimension. Technically, people say it's in the Erd tree, but I still consider the round table a pocket dimension. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys next time on Ghostly French.